So we're back from Cuba. What do I do when I get back from Cuba? Go ice fishing. A couple days ago it was plus 28 and sunny. Now it's mild actually. It's maybe -1. Probably gonna get -2 tonight. I'm on an old haunt of mine. I used to do a bunch of crappie fishing out here. I haven't been out here in a bunch of years, but low pressure today and a little bit of snow. It's got me thinking that the bite might be on a little bit. I'm set up in 16 feet right now. It's usually a dusk day, like nighttime bite. The problem with this spot a little bit at this time of day is these guys. And it's big old dirty largies that are infiltrated in this area. So you gotta you never know, it could be a big walleye. I've been fooled once before thinking they're stinking largemouth. Big rat and it might be a pike. Largemouth don't fight like that. Well, maybe under the ice, but we'll see in a second here. But I'm gonna guess pike or big largie. We'll see. Come on up. I haven't seen him yet. Trouble, I had a bunch of decisions to make today because near our place there's so many different spots I can go fish. But came back to an old favorite. I've caught some really nice crappies in the past and hope to play with a few tonight. It's kind of really hit and miss, but when they're here it's phenomenal and it's worth the track. But oh, a big old greenie. Oh, a real nice greenie. Woo, that's a nice one. Oh, look at that, hook popped out. Get out of season, get out of here, you mongrel, cockroach. Fun, but now if I was hanging around here and I was catching 6, 8, 10 of them, I'd be moving. But one's not going to be a big deal. I've got actually been out for about an hour. I come out and I drilled 18 holes. So I've got 3 holes in a row times 6. So I've opened the playing field up here so that at dusk, when things hopefully get going, I can really hole hop around. Tonight it's mild. I'm only in a hoodie and a vest really, and it's mild enough that I'll be able to hole hop. I'll probably set the shack up with the heater on and pop in there every now and then just to warm up a little bit, but for the most part I'll be able to hole hop without the shack and hopefully put on some crappies. So I've switched holes now. I had 2 other largemouths in that other hole now. Yeah, I don't want to catch largemouth. Yeah, it's fun, big deal, but I'm learning something about the area, that if there's largemouth here, they're here for a reason. So the crappie may show up here. Whatever brings the largemouth here, the crappies are probably interested in the same thing, whether it's bugs or whatever it is. Transition zone. I know there's a rock pile over here. There's a sandbar over here. It's kind of funnel that I fish here. So if the largies are using it, and typically when I caught largies here before, the crappies would follow, but they'd come in at dusk. The largies would stop. You'd get a little bit of dink perch would play around, and then the crappies would show up. So I'm working a fish here. He's pretty tentative. I'm gonna guess it's another largemouth. You got to treat them all like they could be that 15-inch crappie that we look for. So you got to work it like it's what you want it to be, and if it's a largemouth, it's a largemouth. But they'll buzz off here pretty soon. So last night, largies did buzz off, as I kind of predicted. Shooting at night is real tricky for me, and kind of the crappy part about that is when I am crappie fishing, it's mostly at night. So how much action I'm ever going to get on film at night, it's tricky. Lighting is so poor that I don't even bother. Once I can't see, it gets grainy, I just shut it down. So I ended up with 6, maybe 10-inch crappies last night. I didn't keep any. I was looking for 13s and 14s. That's what that lake usually shows me when they do show up. But real tentative fish again last night. They weren't chewing by any means, but I did pick up six, 9, 10 inches in the last hour of darkness that I stayed. But so out today, I've got the Vex camera with me today. I'm heading to do some perch fishing, and then hopefully a little walleye bite at night, at dusk kind of thing, and hopefully get some good stuff on the Vex cam today. I'm already looking at it today. Today's windy. It's gusting at 45k. And if you watched ice fishing shows, like how they produce these shows, I don't know. Because today, if I go to shoot outside, sound's gonna be terrible, and it's just a tough way to chase that, right? And if you're ready to shoot a show, which this isn't a show, this is a 10-minute video that I'm doing once a week. It's got to be pretty tricky and frustrating for those guys, conditions-wise, because you never know what you're going to be dealing with, and the guys that do it really well. So I'm going to hit the road again here and hopefully get some nice perch today. The 12 to 13 inch perch is kind of what we're aiming for, and maybe a big walleye at dusk. So hopefully that happens. So as you'll see, I had the underwater camera, the Vexilar underwater camera with me this afternoon. Water clarity is okay. This was probably about 6 feet away from the hole I was actually fishing, so it gives you a pretty good indicator how far it can reach, and it wasn't clear water by any means, but it was okay. But one thing you'll notice in a lot of this video is that these fish are really off, and talking to the network anglers that I kind of chum around with and talk to fairly frequently about just how things are and what's going on, and it's the fish were pretty tentative. You'll see in some of this video. So I started off with a clam bomb spoon tipped with a Mackie, and yeah, they come up and check it out, but they're pretty tentative, just off. They, even when they'd eat it, sometimes it would take a couple times to give it a real poke before I could get a hook into them, and just real tentative. I don't know what's going on, and it's frustrating, especially when you're watching it. It's one thing on a flasher to see a fish there, and it's not really hammering your bait, but when you see them come up and just kind of nipping the tail like that, that's pretty frustrating to see have happened. But you keep working it, and what I ended up doing is I ended up downsizing my bait. So I started off, like I said, with that bomb spoon, caught probably 5 or 6 fish on that. But again, when I see them being that tentative, well, the idea is you got to go smaller and see if you can pick them up doing something else. Like, look at that fish sitting there staring at that. Like, that's frustrating. But then they do come in, and you'll get one and see he's just nipping at it, and then he comes in, he nips at it again, gone. And maybe that's me. I don't think so, but that's just a fish not inhaling the bait, and pretty frustrating. Those are nice perch. You can tell by them. They're not little peanuts. It looks like a 7 striper there, but you're talking pretty good sized perch. The ones I landed were all 9 to 10 and a half, 11 inches, so they weren't small by any means, but frustrating when that's going down. So here he comes, no, debating. See, perch shouldn't be like that. Something going on. They're in a bad mood. Put me in a bad mood. But it's always fascinating to watch underwater cameras, because you see how much that bait's moving. My hand is barely moving up on the rod up top. So it doesn't take a lot to really get that bouncing. I see guys bouncing, and see, and then you get a guy come in and kind of chew it, spit it back out. He'll come back though. Give it to him another second. Let him give that one thunk. Woo! See you later. But still tentative. That one was looking at it, and the one comes in. Oh, this is a good little exchanges. I've downsized now to the snowdrop. You can see it's a little smaller bait, more of a horizontal presentation, but I don't want that pike taking it. So he's looking down at it, so I rip it up above his head, leave it up there. He doesn't know what's going on. Drop it back down, tease him a little bit. Oh, now he sees it up top. He's about to pounce, and I drop it back down. He's chasing it. I'll put it away from him. Yeah, it'd be nice to catch that fish, but odds are he's probably going to break me off. I only have 3-pound mono on there. Odds are he's going to take that on me. So I'll just pull it away from him, especially with the camera. A lot of times with the flasher, you have no idea what's going on species-wise. I'll touch on that at some point when you hear guys talking about they can identify what size of fish is on their flasher. I'll debate that till the day I quit ice fishing. But so I get rid of this guy in a pretty unconventional way. Bonk, see you later, dude. So yeah, got rid of him, and I got to keep my jig. So then I downsized again, and this is as the light is obviously getting poor. This is probably around, you know, maybe 5 o'clock. Dusk was certainly starting to set in, and I had downsized right down to a dingle drop with another Mackie. Woo! So that was a nice one. Probably the nicest one I caught that day. Probably around 12 inches. But yeah, no, it's always a lot of fun to get the camera down and check out what's going on. So remember, short little hops, and it'll put fish on the ice for you. So if you ever get a chance to play with an under camera, it's definitely worth a shot. It's really good for learning how to jig, because minimal movements is the key. Here comes one last one here for you, and we'll take him for a ride too. So fun afternoon on the ice. So there concludes another not great outing, but hopefully you'll see on the camera, if it turned out okay, that yeah, sometimes you got to downsize, and that's really what I had to do today to get the fish to become a lot more aggressive. So if there's anything learned from today, downsizing paid off. That bigger offering, they didn't really want that much to do with it, but downsize every now and then, put more fish on the ice. Just to wrap up this week, we're headed south again for a week, so we'll catch up to you when we get back. Good luck on the ice, guys.